Most people break long before life truly tests them, not because life is too cruel, but because their minds are too soft. They let emotions lead them, they let opinions define them, they let fear decide for them, and when pressure hits, they crumble. But Machiavelli understood something most people never will. The strongest mind is in 39th, the kindest. I'd in 39th, the one that in 39th's most controlled. He believed that your mind is your throne. If you don't in 39th rule it, someone else will. You see, being mentally untouchable doesn't 39th happen by chance. You don't in 39th wake up one day and suddenly stop caring what others think. You build that mindset piece by piece through discipline, detachment, and strategy. The world will constantly try to break you. It will use rejection, betrayal, and failure to test your strength, and most people will fall apart. But you are not most people. You and 39th are here because you and 39th are tired of letting emotions dictate your reality. You and 39th are here because you want to control your reactions, your focus, and your peace, like a king who rules his own kingdom silently but completely. So before we begin, ask yourself this: do you control your mind, or does the world control it for you? Because the answer to that question defines your destiny. If you let the world control your emotions, you and 39th always be its victim. But if you take control of your mind, you become untouchable. Untouchable by failure, untouchable by betrayal, untouchable by chaos. Every challenge, every insult, every test will only sharpen you. From this moment, start thinking like Machiavelli. Detach from emotion, observe human behavior, use discipline as your armor and silence as your weapon. Because once you rule your mind, no one can touch your peace again. Now before we dive into the 7 ruthless lessons, say this with me and drop it in the comments. From today I choose strength over emotion. Number 1, control the narrative. Power begins in perception, the way others see. You determines how they treat you, trust you, and fear you. Machiavelli understood that the world is not ruled by truth. It is ruled by appearance. People don't in 39th see your intentions, they see your presentation. They don't in 39th analyze your mind. They respond to your image. In a society obsessed with perception, the one who controls the narrative controls reality itself. You can be wise, skilled, or powerful, but if you allow others to define your story, you give away your crown before the battle even begins. The most dangerous mistake you can make is thinking that truth alone will protect you. It won in 39th. The truth is often too quiet, too subtle, too easily ignored. Machiavelli once said, end quote, men judge by the eye rather than the hand because everyone can see but few can touch. End quote. This means that the world reacts to what it sees, not what it is. People decide your value before you ever open your mouth. They decide your strength based on your posture, your tone, your calmness, your mystery. If you look uncertain, the world will eat you alive. If you look controlled, they in 39th will hesitate before testing you. To be mentally untouchable, you must become the author of your own narrative. You must deliberately shape how others interpret your silence, your actions, and even your mistakes. Never explain too much. The moment you start defending yourself, you and 39th already surrendered your authority. A calm silence is far louder than desperate words. Let them assume, let them guess, let them wonder. The less they know, the more power you hold. In every room, there in 39th's, an invisible war for dominance, a battle of perception. The loud ones want attention, the smart ones want control. When you walk in, you don't in 39th need to announce who you are. Let your presence speak before you do. People sense confidence long before they understand it. They feel authority long before they hear it. Every gesture, every pause, every subtle look communicates a message. I am in command. You, don't in 39th, need validation. You need precision. Understand this. When you control perception, you can bend reality. A person who appears unbothered is seen as strong. A person who looks desperate is seen as weak. You can face chaos and still look calm, and that illusion alone will protect you more than 1,000 words of defense. 8 and 39th is the psychology of influence. The mind believes what the eyes repeat. If the world keeps seeing you composed, confident, and strategic, it will treat you accordingly, even when inside you and 39th are still learning to master that control. Machiavelli believed that reputation is the foundation of all power. He wrote, end quote, everyone sees what you appear to be. Few experience what you really are. Never forget that. Appear strong even when uncertain. Appear unshaken even when pressured. Control your tone, your gaze, your words, and your energy. Your silence should be louder than other people and 39th's noise. When people try to label you, don't and 39th react. Rewrite the label through your actions. When they underestimate you, let results speak. When they question you, respond with calm confidence. Control is not about manipulation. I-10 39ths, about direction, deciding how your energy and image are perceived in a chaotic world. Once you master this, UN 39th will stop chasing validation and start commanding respect. UN 39th will no longer live by how others define you. UN 39th will define yourself because the one who owns his story owns his destiny. Now I want you to drop this affirmation in the comments. I control my image. Number 2, detach from emotion. Emotion is the easiest weapon the world uses to control you. The moment someone can trigger your anger, sadness, or fear, they own you. Machiavelli understood this better than anyone. He observed that people who react emotionally are predictable, and predictable minds are easy to manipulate. Detachment is not coldness. I-10 39th, strength in disguise. I-10 39th is the power to observe chaos without letting it enter your mind. When you detach, you stop bleeding energy on things that dawn in 39th deserve your focus. You stop reacting to every insult, every disappointment, every false expectation. You start responding with control instead of emotion. And in that moment, you become dangerous. Most people pride themselves on being real, thinking emotional expression is strength. But uncontrolled emotion is vulnerability disguised as honesty. When you in 39th read too quick to react, you reveal your triggers. You expose where you can be attacked. People sense it, and even unconsciously they and 39th, they'll push those buttons to control you. They and 39th is how manipulation works. Not through power, but through emotional access. Machiavelli once said, and quote, the wise man does at once what the fool does. And quote, finally, he meant that wisdom lies in control, responding only when it serves your purpose. The fool reacts instantly. The wise stay still until I-10 39th, it's time to strike. Detachment doesn't and 39th mean you stop feeling. It means you stop being ruled by feelings. You can feel pain without drowning in it. You can acknowledge betrayal without letting it destroy your peace. The secret is simple. You are not your emotions. You are the one watching them. Every emotion is like a passing storm. Loud, wild, temporary. Don't in 39th, chase the thunder. Stand still and watch it pass. That stillness is power. I-10 39th is what Machiavelli called the strength of command. The ability to stay calm when everyone else collapses under pressure. People will fear that calmness because they can and 39th read it. And what can and 39th be read, can and 39th be controlled. Imagine this. Two people face the same insult. One explodes in anger, losing control of his image and his words. The other looks straight at the offender and simply smiles. The second person wins without saying a word. He didn't and 39th react. He redirected. He didn't and 39th fight, he observed. That and 39th psychological mastery. I-10 39th is not about suppressing emotion. I-10 39th's about owning it. You control what leaves your mind. You choose when to respond. You decide when to move and when to wait. That level of control separates the rulers from the ruled. Machiavelli advised leaders to appear merciful, faithful, humane, sincere, religious, and also to be so, but with a mind so framed that when it is necessary not to be so, you may change to the opposite. This means you must know how to detach from your feelings when they threaten your strategy. If your emotion serves your purpose, use it. If it weakens your position, silence it. Emotion must serve you, not enslave you. Detachment also protects your peace. Once you stop reacting to everything, life becomes quieter. You stop wasting energy proving yourself. You stop explaining to people who will never understand. You stop expecting fairness in a world built on power. Emotional distance gives you clarity. You start seeing patterns instead of problems. You stop taking everything personally and start using it as data. Then 39th, when you start winning silently. When you master emotional detachment, you stop being a slave to chaos. No insult, betrayal, or failure can truly touch you. You might bend, but you never break. You move through life with stillness, not fear, because no one can shake a mind that refuses to react. Drop this affirmation in the comments. I feel, but I do not fall. Number 3, expect betrayal. Trust strategy. Betrayal is not an exception in life. I-10 39th, it's a pattern. The sooner you understand that loyalty is temporary, the faster you and 39th will stop being shocked when people turn against you. Machiavelli warned that loyalty lasts only as long as it serves someone and 39th's interest. When that interest ends, so does their devotion. To survive in a world built on self-interest, You must replace emotional trust with strategic awareness. The wise man doesn't and 39th depend on promises. He builds systems that protect him when those promises break. Most people suffer because they expect consistency in a world driven by convenience. They think loyalty is sacred, but in reality, it and 39th conditional. Expecting betrayal doesn't 39th make you paranoid. It makes you prepared. Machiavelli once said, and quote, "The promise given was a necessity of the past." And quote, "The word broken is a necessity of the present." He meant that people will shift their loyalty whenever it benefits them, and you must never take that personally. Betrayal is not always an act of evil. Sometimes it and 39th, just human nature revealing itself. When you understand that, you stop reacting with anger and start responding with clarity. You no longer see betrayal as a tragedy. You see it as information. It shows you who values advantage over integrity, who pretends out of need, and who will abandon you when the winds change. The most strategic minds don't and 39th rely on loyalty. They rely on structure. They don't and 39th tie their survival to people. They tie it to systems. When you trust emotion, you make yourself dependent. When you trust design, you make yourself independent. Always have a plan that functions even if everyone turns their back on you. Always position yourself so that no single person holds the power to destroy your peace or progress. It and 39th, not cold. It and 39th, intelligent. Detachment from blind trust doesn't 39th kill connection. It refines it. You start valuing actions over words and patterns over promises. When you expect betrayal, you stop over-investing in illusions. You see through flattery. You notice inconsistencies. You learn to read intentions before they reach your heart. Machiavelli believed that foresight is the greatest form of power. A leader who predicts deception before it happens never loses control. He wrote, and quote, "The wise man does not expose himself needlessly to danger since there are few things for which he cares sufficiently, but he is willing in great crisis to give even his life, knowing that under certain conditions it is not worthwhile to live." This is not pessimism. Itan, 39th. Realism. You learn to care selectively. You learn to protect your energy from unworthy causes and unstable allies. Most people get destroyed, not because they and 39th betrayed, but because they refuse to believe it could happen. They live in denial until the knife is already in their back. The Machiavellian mindset removes that illusion. It accepts human inconsistency as a fact and prepares accordingly. You don't and 39th build walls around your heart. You build gates that open only for those who and 39th proven their loyalty through time and adversity, and even then, you never forget that anyone can change. That 39th's not cynicism. It and 39th's power. It means you and 39th re-alert but not bitter, cautious but not cold, aware but never weak. When you expect betrayal, you stop fearing it. You become mentally untouchable because nothing surprises you anymore. Your strategy becomes your shield. Your clarity becomes your armor. You no longer chase loyalty. You command respect through your calm and preparation, because the one who anticipates betrayal never kneels to it. I want you to drop this affirmation in the comments. I trust strategy, not sympathy. Number 4, appear calm. Think cold. In a chaotic world, calmness is the most intimidating form of strength. Most people equate composure with softness, but Machiavelli saw it as a weapon of psychological warfare. When you appear calm while others panic, you project superiority without speaking a word. The calm mind observes what the restless cannot see. The cold thinker spots patterns hidden behind emotion. When you can appear serene in the middle of disorder, people start to fear your control. They sense that nothing can shake you, and that mystery becomes dominance. Machiavelli wrote, and quote, "A prince must learn how not to be good." And quote, he didn't end 39th mean cruelty. He meant emotional discipline, the ability to detach from kindness when it weakens authority. Being good is easy. Staying calm when everything burns around you is divine. When people expect you to break, and you don't and 39th, their illusion of power over you collapses. Calmness terrifies the unstable. It makes the impulsive hesitate. They can and 39th understand why you don't and 39th react, why you don't and 39th argue, why you don't and 39th crumble. That silence becomes a mirror reflecting their chaos. Your stillness exposes their lack of control. The world respects the one who remains centered under pressure because it and 39th is rare. Most minds are slaves to reaction. They speak too quickly, decide too soon, and lose everything to emotion. The cold strategist pauses, studies, and chooses precisely when to move. Patience is not weakness. It and 39th is control over time. Machiavelli once said, and quote, "The lion cannot protect himself from traps, and the fox cannot defend himself from wolves. One must therefore be a fox to recognize traps and a lion to frighten wolves. That balance requires a calm surface and a calculating mind beneath it. You must appear tranquil like water, yet sharp like ice below the surface. People should see no trace of your internal process. Never reveal tension, doubt, or fear. Let them wonder if you even feel it. The less they know about your emotional state, the more unpredictable you become. Unpredictability is power. It forces others to play on your terms. To appear calm, you must first train your inner voice. Every irritation, every insult, every unexpected problem must be met with one question. Does reacting help me win? If the answer is no, you remain silent. That silence unsettles people more than anger ever could. A calm reaction kills arguments faster than aggression. The cold mind doesn't in 39th seek victory through words, it wins through energy. Even when surrounded by hostility, keep your tone slow, your eyes steady, your gestures minimal. Confidence is communicated through stillness, not noise. This lesson is not about hiding emotion but mastering display. You must control the theater of your presence. What people see should always serve your advantage. Appear rational when others are irrational. Smile when they expect rage. Walk slowly when they rush. Show that you are never moved unless you choose to be. Over time, this aura becomes armor. No one knows you're breaking point because you never reveal it. You become the calm in every storm, the observer among reactors, the strategist among victims. Now I want you to drop this affirmation in the comments. My calmness is my power. Number 5, keep power in silence. Silence is not emptiness. It is control in its purest form. The more you talk, the more you reveal. Every unnecessary word becomes a window into your mind, and once people can read you, they can predict you. Machiavelli understood that power is preserved through mystery. He knew that silence is not a lack of communication. Iden 39th, a deliberate strategy of dominance. When you speak less, people start to imagine more. They fill the silence with their own fears, doubts, and assumptions. That uncertainty becomes your advantage. The quiet man is never ignored. He in 39th studied, analyzed, and whispered about. The world underestimates those who speak little until they act. And by the time they do, Iden 39th, it's already too late to stop them. Words are cheap. Everyone uses them to seek validation. But power doesn't end 39th explain itself. When you justify your choices, you give others authority to judge them. When you argue, you admit that someone else in 39th opinion matters. Silence destroys that illusion. It sends a clear message. You don't in 39th owe anyone understanding. Machiavelli once said, and quote, never was anything great achieved without danger. And quote, he meant that even restraint carries risk, but silence is a calculated risk. It invites misunderstanding, but it also commands fear. People don't in 39th fear what they can predict. They fear what they can in 39th interpret. The quiet individual who listens more than he speaks becomes the most dangerous presence in any room because everyone wonders what he and 39th thinking and what he and 39th's planning. To master silence, you must first overcome the urge to prove yourself. Most people speak to protect their ego. They explain, defend, and overstate to appear in control. But every explanation leaks insecurity. The Machiavellian mind has no such need. It speaks only with intention, only when the outcome demands it. You must learn to be comfortable with pauses, with the tension of unspoken words, with letting others drown in their own noise. When you stay silent, you force others to expose their thoughts. You learn their weaknesses while protecting yours. Silence turns conversations into mirrors that reflect the truth of others, but never yours. In negotiations, arguments, or confrontations, silence bends the battlefield. It makes the impatient reveal too much. It makes the arrogant lose control. Every second you hold your tongue, they show more of their strategy. 9th. Philosophy thrived on observation. The silent observer sees everything the loud forgets to notice. You can read micro-expressions, tone shifts, inconsistencies, details hidden from those too busy talking. Silence is not absence of power. I-10 39th sits concentration. Like a blade sheathed but ready, it holds energy without wasting it. Never underestimate how silence shifts perception. A person who speaks rarely is assumed to think deeply. Their words carry weight because they are scarce. You don't in 39th have to be the smartest in the room. You just have to be the one who doesn't 39th need to speak. That alone separates you from the impulsive and the insecure. Over time, silence becomes your identity. It makes you unpredictable, respected and feared all at once. When you do decide to speak, your voice cuts through the air like a weapon because ITN 39th is used with precision, not habit. Power is not loud. ITN 39th measured. The strongest presence doesn't in 39th need noise to be noticed. It needs composure, observation, and patience. Keep your plans hidden, your feelings unreadable, and your woe